I'll teach you everything you need to know about repeat and while loops in 5 minutes. Loops let you run part of your code multiple times. For example, we could just write print subscribe and we can copy and paste this over and over and over and over and over again. And then we run it, you see it does it, whatever we tell it to, over and over and over and over again. However, we could just use a loop and the loop will do this over and over for us. First loop I want to go over is the repeat until loop. This loop will repeat something until a certain condition is met. Let's get rid of this other part and we'll just name this part. And let's say we want to increase the height of the part until its size in the y is equal or greater than 30. So the syntax for this kind of loop, you just write repeat and when you hit enter, the until will appear. So whatever you write in between the repeat and the until will be repeated until the condition is met. I'll show you what I mean. We can say workspace.part.size. We want it to be equal to the same size, but we want it to grow in the y-axis by 5 studs every time. And let's just do a wait 1 second so you can see it happen. And how long do we want to do this for? We want to do it until the workspace.part.size in the y direction is greater than or equal to 30 studs tall. And let's see this happen. See, it keeps growing, 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 and then it stopped growing because the size in the y direction is finally bigger than 30. And you don't need to have this weight right here. I just wanted to show you increments. If you don't have it, it'll just loop it all instantly. So everything we put after the repeat and before the until will be repeated until this condition is met. That's why this condition is just one line, so you don't have an end like you would with a if statement block. But let's say we want to keep it going until the part's height is this number, and we want to increase the part's height by 5 until it reaches this height. And we don't have any weights. We want it to do it now. So let's see what will happen. Oh no. Roblox Studio just crashed. Hopefully you didn't follow along with me. You see script timeout, exhaust allowed, execution time, blah, blah, blah. Back in my day, Roblox Studio would just crash your computer, but now you get an error. That's why it's important to have weights. If you don't have a weight, it'll try to loop this instantly until it gets to this number, and that is ridiculous. Your computer can't handle that. That is what happens when you don't have a weight and you have a condition that won't be met soon or will never be met. For example, if we do like until 1 plus 1 is equal to 3, 1 plus 1 is never going to be equal to 3. So it's just going to keep going and going and going forever. Look at this go. Look at this. Look at this. Well, it's going to stop now, but 1 plus 1 is still not equal to 3. We can also do the same exact thing while using a while loop. This is a more common sort of loop, and it works sort of similarly to the one we just did. The syntax for this is you write while, and then you write the condition. So it's going to be a little different. While the part's size in the y is less than 30, and it's the opposite because while this condition is true, it's going to keep looping. And the other one was we're going to keep looping until this condition is met. So you see how they're different? And this is almost exactly like an if statement, except that instead of doing what's inside of here one time, it'll loop it until the condition is false. So I prefer this method over the repeat loop, and it's a lot more common. So again, let's just try to do the same thing. We're gonna wait a second, and then we're gonna make the part's size equal to whatever the part's current size is, and we're going to make it grow 5 studs in the y-axis. And as you can see, it's doing the same exact thing as before, but we just scripted it in a different way. So what this does is checks, is this true? Yup. Then I'm going to wait a second. I'm going to make it grow. Then I'm going to check, is this true? Yup. Okay, then I'm going to wait a second. And then it keeps starting over. And then one day, oh, is this true? No, it's not true. Okay, so it just moves on from there. Again, remember to make this condition something seemingly possible. Like if you make it outrageous and then you don't have this weight, the same thing, it's gonna crash. It's not good, okay? Remember to put the weight or make a condition that will end like in a reasonable amount of time. But just put a weight, better safe than sorry if you don't know what your computer can handle. See, the same error. So how do you know when to use a repeat, until, and a while loop? As you can see, we can use them pretty much interchangeably. The main difference is that the while loop checks this condition and then runs the code, while the repeat until loop does the code that you want to loop, and then it checks the condition. So that's the main difference. It's really up to you, but I think this looks nicer, and I'm more used to while loops. I like while loops. So it's up to you to pick the right one based on the right situation.